We know your home appliances are essential, and if you need a new one, you need it fast. Many products are in short supply due to COVID, but we're member owners of a huge regional appliance warehouse right here in New England, so we can often get the appliances you need quickly and deliver them faster than our competition. If products are out of stock, our knowledgeable team will recommend the best plan for you. Plus, we have expert delivery and installation. You won't find that in a national chain. Did you know your local appliance retailer is the best place to buy your new KitchenAid suite? Click here to find the dealer closest to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Marnie Elise Katz, contributing editor to Boston Globe Magazine. It is our fifth and final, at least for now, series of kitchen webinars sponsored by KitchenAid. Before we get started, here is Maggie Woodall from KitchenAid to say a few words. Welcome, Maggie.
Good morning, and I am so happy to be kicking this off. And again, thank you to the Boston Globe for partnering with us. I'm really excited to see this last event kind of come through. Again, like Marnie said, my name is Maggie Woodall, and I am the sales manager that covers and represents the New England Appliance Group from Whirlpool Corporation. Just again, really excited to help sponsor this event and learn some insights from all of the panelists here. So just a little quick introduction about KitchenAid. I'm really excited to also talk a little bit about some of our other partnerships that we have in conjunction with National Women's Month. So we are partnering with a documentary filmmaker to promote, a Woman's Place documentary that talks about women in the culinary field. And I think that this is a really appropriate segue into what we're going to talk about with the distinctive designs in the kitchen with the Boston Globe. So again, thank you. I really encourage you to check out all of our brands on behalf of Whirlpool Corporation, which includes KitchenAid, Whirlpool, and Maytag. And check out your nearest New England appliance independent retailer. Have a great day.
Thank you, Maggie. So welcome, everybody. Today's topic is New England style kitchens. We have 3 local designers, each with distinct New England look. I will talk with each of them about 3 of their projects, and then we'll move on to questions. You can use the Q&A button at the bottom to submit a question anytime, and we will try to get to it at the end. So our first designer is Jess Cooney. Jess' firm is based in the Berkshires. Her team provides building and management services in addition to interior design. Hello, Jess. Their work has been featured in Boston Globe Magazine and many others. And today we're going to talk about how Jess uses color in the kitchen. Hello.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we can jump right in to our first kitchen, which is a ski house in Egremont. And why don't you jump right in and tell us about this jaunty blue.
Sure. So this house was a renovation. It was a spec home that a builder had put together. So there was a spec kitchen in the house. The kitchen was brand new, so it was quite challenging for us to think about tearing it out. But as luck would have it, they had a tree fall on their house and the kitchen was flooded. And so we were able to take advantage of that situation and completely do a gut renovation to the space. So you can see in the before image, it's a light, bright, airy kitchen. The ceilings are actually vaulted in the whole house, but they do drop down lower in the kitchen. One of the things that we noticed was just the kitchen feels very heavy with appliances. So we were in our thoughts of renovating were to hide the appliances by integrated, which is definitely a good trick of the trade for a smaller kitchen, is to integrate that refrigerator, panel it. And then we really wanted to do something fun. This is a young family from the city. They have young children and really add that pop of blue. in a small kitchen, sometimes you think about maybe not adding a lot of color, but if you really place it well, anchoring it on the back wall, it actually gives a really nice sense of depth to the space and draws your eye to the back wall.
So
And then,
in this
oh, yeah, go
kitchen,
ahead.
then would you not do the island because it would stop your eye?
Yeah, I think it would have been too much. And then bringing that warm wood into the island helps. The warm wood on the range hood helps to still have it feel like your country home, have it not go too contemporary, too cold. So mixing those elements of wood, mixing in the brass, keeps the space warm and just gives you that punch, but doesn't overwhelm your eye when you're in that small space there.
Now you had another slide for this one, I think, another view.
Yeah, another slide there showing. So when you're standing at the kitchen island, that's what you're looking out at. Is all of that view, the light, you know, that vaulted ceiling. And so when you're in there, you know, you really want the emphasis to be on the outdoors. And so using color sparingly, but using it in that bright punch really worked well in the space. And then bringing a bit of the blue into a few aspects out in the main space as well. And adding in the wood tones everywhere throughout really keeps the house to still feeling like their country home.
How did you settle on this color or this sort of tone saturation?
I think what we were a little tired of the deep navy. That's been a trend for a while. And so we were hoping that they would go for something with a little more of a brighter punch to it. The accessories that we put in, you know, they really like color. So we were able to add the yellows and the greens and some of even the tangerine accents, but still have it feel like a country home with the reclaimed wood band around the hood. You can see the tip of it just at the right corner there in that image. Yeah.
Okay. And obviously keeping the top white, the uppers white to sort of fade in there, intrude upon the space.
Right. Keeping the uppers white fades them into the wall. They don't protrude as you're standing in the kitchen. And then also bringing that countertop material up from the counters and running that up bounces a lot of light around that space. So you're getting a lot of light from that window and it's reflecting all around the kitchen, keeping it really bright and airy. Even though it is quite a small space with a low ceiling there, it doesn't feel like it.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the next one, which is a project we actually don't know much about. So I'm looking forward to learning. It's so pretty and so airy.
Yeah. So, you know, every house has its challenges. This was a very obvious. This is a geodesic dome. So essentially you're living inside of a golf ball, basically. Every bit of the house was angled all the way around. Big open vaulted dome ceiling. And the kitchen was a huge challenge for us because, as you can see in the before image, the way they had the appliances is just pretty rough. You know, the range ends up on that angled wall, the refrigerator's kind of tucked in and the sink is crammed next to it. And so the key to this was really, you can see in the image to the left that we added a sliding door, which goes back to a pantry. And inside that pantry, we were able to locate the refrigerator and the microwave, and then bring that wall across, just that one straight wall. So in the overall style of this space, it's a huge challenge when you have a massively vaulted space and everything is open. It can feel chaotic very quickly. And so we really wanted this beautiful, quiet, serene space. But we also wanted to infuse some color, infuse some interest. So we added this kind of powdery blue to the base cabinets only. And then we mixed in this gray washed bamboo cabinetry. So that lighter wood that you're seeing is a bamboo that's been a gray wash has been applied over it.
Pretty.
And-
We had a question
Sure.
about can you tell us, and I don't know if they meant for the last kitchen or this kitchen, somebody asked about the fridge. So for the last kitchen, in case it was about that, the fridge was the big panel of bright blue, the big.
Yeah, so it's called
there.
if you're going to purchase one, you would ask for an integrated refrigerator. So that integrates all the way into the cabinetry, and your front panel is going to be flush with all of the other cabinets. So it's counter depth, but it goes an extra step to be called an integrated cabinet.
And someone also wanted to know, I guess the before picture of the other one maybe showed a microwave. Did you go to a drawer microwave?
We did. We went to a drawer in the island, which is also.
We're going to talk about later anyway.
Yeah, we'll bring that up again. Definitely hiding appliances is a huge thing. So this kitchen had a huge laundry list of appliances. She wanted 2 ovens, she wanted 2 sinks, a refrigerator, a full range. And we kind of pushed back a little with it in the beginning, just saying the kitchen was way too small for all of that. And she wanted what she wanted. She wanted the steam oven. And so everything is really nicely hidden in the island, and removing that refrigerator and putting it in the pantry was really key to getting all of her other appliance wishes into this.
Right, we've been seeing that a lot.
Yeah, it's it's an extra step, and I don't think anybody finds it to be too inconvenient really back there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this kitchen looks like it sort of floats, but just.
Yeah, it really does. If you go to the second slide, you can really see the pillowy effect of the ceiling in that middle image. And you can see how we kind of played around a little bit with the color, just using the sink base with the bamboo. It's just a fun way to mix the elements and bring that kind of mid-century feel to the space. And then anchoring the space, we put a deeper wood toned floor, and we also brought in a limestone fireplace. You can see the coffee table over to the right is a live edge that was made locally. And so those elements kind of bring it back to the Berkshires, the country home, keep it warm, but also this massive, beautiful, like pillowed effect with the white, kind of all of it floating around that space. So,
all right, let's look at the next one, which is super fun. One of my favorites.
Yeah, this was a great project. So the challenge of this house is that it was built on a concrete slab. So there was no basement. And with that always comes with lots of soffits, lots of chases to bring plumbing lines, heating lines, things like that. And so when we took this house and we just kind of bleached the whole thing out white, all of those.
It was quite the dark nightmare before.
Yeah, I think we have a before, maybe it's on the second page.
Okay.
There was, you can't see it much, but there's heavy brick throughout the house.
You can go back to the other slide.
Sure,
yeah, but the house is like red and brown, basically.
Yeah, a ton of brick. It was what I was calling like a McDonald's, bright yellow and bright red with a lot of brick. And so this is sitting on a beautiful lake. The whole windows to the right all go out to the lake. And so we want, people use their houses here year round, whether it's a lake house or a summer house, they use it year round. So adding these layers of richness is always important with the leather stools. Those ground the space, the organic feel of the wood bowl, and then that beautiful clay tile, which is actually discontinued now. It's that beautiful bright green clay concrete tile that's handmade. That brings this organic, natural feel, but also this really great punch. And then adding the wood shelves over the top softens it again. Instead of doing a white shelf, which would have been very bright, very clean, we went with an oak shelf on top, which kind of softens the feel. And then the woven basket lights.
Can you give tell us how you decided or why you decided to go with the green as the backsplash instead of where the others you went with cabinetry in a color.
Yeah, I think we just felt like this was a great opportunity to have this big punch. Our client was really excited about using color. And so sometimes that's client driven, where she loved jewel tones. She loved reds and blues and deep greens. And we felt like this really kind of tied to the outside as well with all of the greenery. And it enabled us to use these beautiful terracottas on top of it, which are really complementary to that green. So green to me is a bit of a neutral. You really can add any color over the top of that you wanted for dishes, and it would be really lovely.
All right, we have one more minute. Let's look at the next slide and sort of, yeah. So
Right.
This is an example of putting sort of this auxiliary kitchen off to the side.
So that was the original kitchen. If you look in the before, the pantry was the whole kitchen, and it was just loaded up again with a million appliances sticking out at you all over. So if you look on the image to the left, we loaded up that back wall with refrigerators and ovens and pantry, and then that enables the rest of the kitchen to really be pared down and minimalistic, and have the ability to add that painting, which ties back to the green. If you look at the plan on the bottom, the island and the range, which is what you saw in the last image, that used to be the dining room, and the whole kitchen was fit into that pantry space. So we really encouraged her to spread out, to pull that island across, and she's got 2 teenage sons. The last time I was there were 12 teenage boys standing around the island eating pizza. And that's what we had envisioned when we did it for her. Just this big, beautiful, open, bright, airy space that she could entertain more in and not feel like she was pushed back into that corner in the kitchen there.
Wonderful. That's everything. And that's the perfect way to end, I think, like seeing your clients use your space exactly how it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Jess. We will see you again for Q&A, but right now I would love to invite Kelly Mcgill on. Kelly, I'll start while she gets on telling you about her. I've known Kelly since 2008. We worked on a project together that made the cover of the Globe magazine. It was actually my first project with Globe magazine. So here we are again, many years later. Like Jess, Kelly also offers design, build, and project management services. She is a master at integrating vintage pieces from Brimfield into her rooms. Her style is crisp and clean with high contrast and plenty of warmth. Kelly, are you with us?
I am, I think. Can you hear me?
Yay, hello.
Hello. How are you, Marnie?
Good.
Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in with this project. This is a loft in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for a woman who was leaving the suburbs, an empty nester woman leaving the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm. She was a previous client, and she bought this amazing place in New Hampshire in Portsmouth, and she's an artist, and her kids had grown, and it was very, very dark and very rustic, and she wanted it to kind of just represent her and be a place that she could be there and do her art and read and do things like that. So we basically did a lot to it. We put in new floors because the floors that were there before were really unappealing to her. We redid the kitchen. We did we added shiplap. We did a new stair and new bar for her, and basically just kind of opened up the place so that it's 2 floors. but this first floor just kind of went from one room to the next. So she could sit at the island, or she could sit at that little banquette bench that we had made and have tea or coffee. And then she could wander over to the area that had, her kind of family room area, where there was a TV and she could have people over. And then upstairs was a loft that we turned into her art room. And then there was another bedroom there as well.
So this sort of kitchen eating area really just looks so cozy. It just, I mean, everything is so white and crisp, but yet the dark colors and the warmth of the natural tones really just sort of pull you in. How do you do that?
I agree. I think it's all about contrasts. We knew that the windows were not black, so we had the interiors painted black, and we knew that we wanted to have like a white kind of envelope, and then have all these great wood and black accents mixed with the metals from the lights. And we felt like that would give it a really kind of clean look, but also more contemporary look, which she was going for. And then I don't know if any of the slides show it. In her hallway, we did these ledges that we mixed her art and then photos of her family with. And
maybe
I think
the next one, if we switch to the next slide, there might be like a little hint. No, maybe not. That's just how about the third?
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. In the very far left.
Yeah. So we wanted just contrast. We wanted it to be really clean and classic, and we wanted her to love it now, and we wanted her to love it in 10 years. And, it was just a really great project.
And I love how you put, before we move to the next one, just about finding space for this bar under the stair.
Yeah, that was just kind of empty space. There was a small closet over to the right that we ended up taking out, and then just creating this really great bar area. We redid the stairs too, and we added the metal stair railings, and it just opened it up and added just such a great kind of clean look to it.
So in addition to doing your base cabinetry in dark colors, then you run sort of touches of black throughout, which I think we probably see in all of these.
Yes, exactly. And black and the wood.
And wood, right?
Yeah, and white, and then a lot of texture and things like that.
Let's look at the lake house, then the next one.
The next one was a great project. We did it on Lake Winnipesaukee, and this was a young family, and they asked us to redo pretty much the whole house. It was 3 floors in 6 months during COVID. So it was a little crazy, but we knew that we couldn't do some things. Those columns that are on each side of the island were like metal black columns, and we wanted to have them removed to just open up the whole kitchen, but we knew that that would take a long time, structural engineers, all kinds of things. So we decided to just have them faced with this reclaimed wood that we ran throughout the house in different areas. The kitchen was really dark and really heavy on cabinetry. That back wall where we have the open shelving had, like a wine cabinet that was vertical, and it was just really dark wood. So we took off all the upper cabinets here and just added some open shelving. We refaced all the cabinets because the actual cabinet faces were very dark, and they were really kind of elaborate and not at all what we were looking for. And we replaced the countertop with the quartz and did all new lighting, all new floors.
And so here you kept everything white, but then you did the black faucet, the black hardware, the wood columns,
again,
and then the peak of the black mudroom back there.
Exactly. Again, like all these great kind of contrasts that we feel work so well. And we just carry that throughout the house, like that little thread that goes throughout each room. And there's a table right behind this island that looks out onto the lake, which is just like so beautiful and peaceful and cool. So it's a great house. It was a great project.
Great. All right, let's go to the next one, which was actually in the Globe. 2 years ago, maybe. Oh, wait, we're still here. Sorry. I had a mistake. Yeah, but there's the table you were talking about.
Yeah. And, great light fixtures really add so much. I'm a huge lighting person. I think that it can really make your space come to life. And I love lights that don't kind of block the flow, especially if you have a great view or something that's beyond that you want to see. So the light that we used over that table is it's from Lightology, and it's just a really reasonable light, but has a great flow to it.
All right. And I love those little pops of the sconces are adorable up there.
Yeah, those
okay.
are so cool.
Now okay, here we go. So this is in the suburbs. It's a full-time old home.
Yeah.
Couple with dogs, I think.
Yeah. And now they have a child, and they bought this, and it was built in the early 1900s, and the kitchen was very small, and it had a large laundry room attached to the kitchen, and then a kind of a small pantry mudroom kind of setup. So we kind of came up with this plan where we enlarged the kitchen, made the laundry room quite a bit smaller, but incorporated a pantry and a mudroom into that. And so this was so much more conducive to the way that they live. We added that 16-foot slider there and added the black windows over the sink. Originally, there was just 2 small windows there. And we just opened up the space and we matched the flooring, this pumpkin pine that had been used throughout the other parts of the floor. And we matched that to what was existing. And then we created this great kind of mudroom, pantry, laundry.
With a dog bath, right?
Yes, dog bath. Yes, exactly.
And now this kitchen, if I recall, was actually a house favorite. A few years ago. People really responded to it. What I remember about this, which I think is interesting, was that the rest of the house, of course, since it is an old house, does not have black windows, but this is sort of in the back of the space. And so you felt it was okay to do that.
Yeah, we felt like it didn't interfere with the rest of the house, and it worked. It was cohesive, even though the other windows were white. We brought in some black elements to other parts of the room to just kind of keep that little kind of flow going. But I think because it was in the back and it wasn't connected to the front, you can kind of see how the kitchen is kind of vertical to the house, whereas you can see that the other part, the house kind of goes very horizontal to the right there. So we felt that it worked, and the clients loved it.
Yeah. And did you do brass for the hardware?
We did brass.
And did you talk about doing any other sort of black things or doing cabinetry in different, or it was like they wanted a white kitchen, or maybe she was inspired by the marble in her grandmother's kitchen or something?
Yes, in fact, her grandmother helped her find this marble, which is a Carrara, which was really interesting. They definitely wanted black lights. So we used these Urban Electric lights here. And then we used a Formations light over the dining room table. And then she loved unlacquered brass. So we did all unlacquered hardware, and the faucets were all unlacquered. So they have a really nice patina. And we got those from Waterworks, and they're just beautiful.
And of course, the runner, you putting the Oriental rugs in, sort of a touch that you do.
Yep. And that's a great find that, you can get at Brimfield, or you can get on Etsy, that just adds so much warmth to a space. But we loved this kitchen. We felt like it was in keeping with this early 1900s house, and just so beautiful.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Martin.
I think it's time for Nikki, but we will see you in about 12 minutes.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right. So our third guest is Nikki Dalrymple, who I've also known since 2008 when she opened North End Boutique Acquire. 7 years later, she decided to start focusing on design full time. And she creates very classic interiors, but they often have a quirky twist, whether it's an interesting piece of art or a vintage piece. And of course, we featured her work plenty of times in the Globe magazine. Are you on camera?
I think so.
Ah, there you are. Good. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
For the
All
intro.
right. So we've got faced with this sort of blah before here in Brewster, Cape Cod.
Right, right. This was actually the second home that we had renovated for this particular client. And
Oh, is this the Back Bay woman?
yes, so their
Yeah, I
first
remember.
home, right? We had done a home for them in Back Bay, and she had always wanted to have a summer home on the Cape, and found this wonderful space that was right on the beach, but it needed to be completely gutted and renovated and redesigned. So. And we had a very short turnaround as well. But having worked with her previously, you know, I knew that we had a more traditional sensibility happening here. But because it was a summer home, you know, we didn't want to introduce too much formality to the space. So for the kitchen, she wanted a very warm, a very inviting area.
Do you want to switch to the next slide so we can see it? All right, there we go.
Yeah. So, you know, she does a lot of entertaining in the summer months, and we decided to keep the existing footprint of what she had for the kitchen because it had these great views to her backyard. And we also had this amazing natural light that was happening with these double high ceilings, but we gutted out all that old melamine cabinetry, the Formica countertops. We updated all of their appliances and hid them as well behind integrated panels for the fridge and paneling for the dishwasher.
And how did you decide on doing the warm wood? Now, unlike a lot of the other ones that we've seen so far, you've done it upper and lower. Sort of talk to us about that.
Right. So, so given that their home, the proximity was so close to the beach, I was really inspired by the natural and the, you know, the organic materials that were happening in this space. So rather than going with painted cabinets, I wanted to go to a driftwood feel. They have so much driftwood that, you know, comes up on the beach behind their house. So we did these really great custom cerused ashwood cabinets that, you know, from a functionality point, I think that they give a great durability to them because they're wood stained and they have this sort of distressed look. You know, you can have kids or dogs or sand, you know, hitting them at all angles, and they're not going to chip like a painted cabinet would over time. Yeah.
Right. And then you added some cute little navy blue lights and the slip covers and dressed
Right.
it up.
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about durability really here. So the countertops and that backsplash that we take full height there, those are all engineered quartz. We really wanted that to be impervious to spills and stains, right? And then the slip covered bar stools there, you can easily take them off, throw them into the wash, but we did them with a perennials fabric, which I love that fabric line because it's bulletproof. I mean, it's an acrylic dyed solution fabric, but it has the hand of a linen. It doesn't feel like that, you know, sunbrella sometimes can have that rubbery feel to it.
It's amazing what
Yeah.
they've been doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's look at Wellesley next. And we've seen a lot of sort of summer house kitchens, but a lot of people, because of COVID, have been redoing they're trying to escape and redo their places. But here is a full-time house in Wellesley.
Right. This kitchen was sort of our antidote to the all white kitchen. I mean, it looks very white here, but it was a very classic 1940s colonial home, which you see a lot in Wellesley, right? It's got low ceilings, separate rooms that doesn't have. Ooh. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
Oh, you did for a second.
Geez, can you see me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So So anyway, I can't see the slides, but I know what I
Oh,
know
you
what we're
can't?
talking
Okay,
about.
well, we've
Yeah.
got the navy blue island and the pretty plastered curvy hood.
Okay, so our first decision was to paint all of the kitchen in white, so that there was no distinction of color between the cabinets and the trim, just because our ceilings are low here with these old colonials, right? It helps bring your eye up and it makes the space feel larger. We gutted that original kitchen because we really wanted the flow of the space to make it feel as airy and as open concept as possible. And the client really wanted us to update the finishes to make it feel more contemporary. But keeping it all white, we introduced a decorative mosaic backsplash that, again, like that last project, we took full height to the ceiling. And we also added some shiplap walls. But because I think we kept everything in that same white tone, it really became more about the texture than the color, keeping your interest in the kitchen.
Great. And the line, I mean, that curved hood really has a feminine sort of graceful interest there.
Yeah, and we married that too with the curving kind of detail of some of the kitchen cabinetry hardware in that as well. So it wasn't all too straight lined and too modern for this, old meets new sort of home.
Okay. Let's look at Brookline. I love this next. Oh, no, sorry. We have another slide of
the
of
island
again. So
Yeah.
you can see the blue island a little bit more. Is this a stain? I think you stained this. Now, why don't you just sort of talk about that for a minute? The difference between just a painted finish and the stained finish where you can see the graining.
And that was a very deliberate decision. We wanted to do this sort of mid-tone, moody blue, but have, again, this overall feeling of warmth and texture. And when you stain something and you can still see that grain through the stain, I think that just helps bring that again, another way to bring in that texture through the kitchen versus just a solid saturated paint color. Yeah.
Really pretty.
Thanks.
All right, another full-time home, Brookline, which I love this one. And the before, I mean, it's cool. Like, it's such an older home of this area, very sort of classic.
Yeah, this was an historical home. I believe it's circa 1847. So really old, really old. And the location of the original kitchen was not centered in the house.
Right.
So the client really wanted
servants were using it back then. It was probably in the back of the house.
Right. And so the client really wanted it to feel like the heart of the home. And so we relocated the kitchen to the old living room space, which was wonderful. So we got to highlight these beautiful historic leaded glass windows that were already existing to the space.
Let's switch to the next slide because then we can see some of the details a little bit more. Is that gorgeous wood hood and those wood details? Is that like a gray stain over the wood or?
Yes. So for us, again, I mean, I keep saying it over and over, but clients for us keep mentioning that they want this warmth to their homes. And so in keeping it classic, we didn't want to do an all white kitchen. So we brought this sort of European Belgian white oak into the space on the hood. We repeated it on the banquette seating and then also on these built-in cabinets that are on the other side of the island there.
Now, were those inspired by original pieces, maybe in the dining room or?
They weren't. It was really about the mix of old and new in here. And so we were updating this. This was a full gut home again, and we were updating the home. The client was very inspired by sort of a Belgian farmhouse look. So a lot of whitewashed woods, right, which you can see kind of happen on the floor there. And then also in wood finishes that we carried around the home as sort of new pieces to some of the older aspects of the home, like the original staircase and the leaded glass.
And are those, I mean, and this is such a good example of a classic kitchen that does feel updated, but timeless, and uses, even though it's white, all these really interesting things. You know, that range is dark, and you've got the pretty brass and the wood. Is that smoked mirror in the cabinet?
It is. So some of the things we did to add a little bit of old or texture to the home or the kitchen was these antiqued glass fronts just on the cabinetry that flanked the stove there. And then we also did a leathered finish on the countertops and the backsplash that goes full height behind the stove, which really gave this nice texture, so it didn't appear too slick or contemporary. And all of our brass finishes there were also unlacquered. So like Kelly spoke of, you know, that really patinas over time, and it gives such a warmth and just a feeling of age to the home, so it doesn't, you know, appear so new.
Right. I mean, yeah, the unlacquered brass, the grainy woods, the leathered, and in fact, people might not know what leathered is. I think we're seeing it a lot more, honed or leathered marble instead of polished. Do you want to give them a 2-second thing on that?
Sure. So, you know, polished has a very kind of shiny, slick finish to it. Hone stone, again, goes more matte. And leathered is going one step further with honed, where it's matte, but then there's also this great texture that you can feel if you rub your hand over the stone. It's not going to be a completely flat surface anymore. So it's got a real great movement to it. This was a quartzite that we used on the island and the backsplash. So it had some movement already, but leathering it really brought out some of that interesting veining.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we are blissfully on schedule. I would like to invite Kelly and Jess back on camera for Q&A. And let's see, we have some prepared, in fact. Thank you. Thank you to our audience for sending in pictures and questions beforehand. We can pull up the first one, and it's for Kelly's going to tackle this one. We have a slide, and they're asking, should they go white?
Well,
They're about to embark on a renovation. Everyone says go white. It's small. You need white. Do they need white? Can they do other things?
you know, I think white would be great, but I also think they could go with like a taupe or a gray. I think looking at the space, I feel like if they maybe looked at removing some of the upper cabinets, it would make the space feel quite a bit bigger, wider. I feel like there's like too much cabinetry there.
So maybe over the range, maybe to sort of
over the range, maybe even replacing the range with something. I'm not sure what they're intending to do, but maybe if they either made, did a stainless range or a plaster, a stainless hood or a plaster hood, and then took, the cabinets on each side of that hood down. And then maybe even over the sink to do either open shelving or something. I think it could work really well. I love the idea of going white, but we've done a lot of cabinets that are like a taupe, like a Farrow and Ball taupe color, or Benjamin Moore kind of gray color. And that could also be beautiful and make the space feel bigger and wider. I know she mentioned keeping the character. I don't know if she wants to keep the brick wall in the back there, or even painted brick can be really beautiful and add a great texture to the space. And I think her flooring there is a beautiful, adds such a great contrast and adds a lot of character. So I think, having that as the contrast is great. And then
right, they don't need it 24/7 up and down, sideways.
And then maybe even like an integrated fridge, like we've talked about, that would be great. And, or a paneled fridge so that it feels like it's kind of all cohesive. And the same thing with the dishwasher, I think could add a really great look to that kitchen.
Great, thank you. We can take that slide down. We don't need to go to the next one yet, but Kelly, one other question for you that we do not have a slide for, which is somebody asks about something that we've talked about, mixing cabinets, different styles, different colors. Any do you have a 1.5 minute advice on that?
I think if it's something that you're interested in, I say go for it. We do a lot of islands that are different from the cabinetry, and we will do either like a white oak island base or a painted island base. But I think if you're up for it, I think you should go for it. I think it can be really beautiful.
Okay. Nikki, back to Nikki. If we could see the next slide, microwave drawers, which it may have been even the same person who asked this. But, tell us about them. If people haven't redone a kitchen in the last 10 years, they might not even know these exist.
Well, we get this question a lot is, do I do the microwave drawer or do I keep an existing microwave somewhere? And I think the answer really depends on what you have for space around the perimeter of your kitchen. And then also the family dynamic. So a lot of times if you've got young kids and you have the ability to hide a microwave inside some sort of appliance garage on top of your countertops, I would say do that, because you often will times have just the kids pushing the buttons, on the microwave drawer, opening and closing it, and it can be a bit of an issue. I speak from personal experience, but these couple of quick screenshots show one kitchen where we have put the microwave drawer. We're showing the client in just a render here what that would look like on an island. The other one where we've hidden it inside of this appliance cabinetry to have it come all the way down to the countertop itself.
Cool. All right, thank you. And then somebody else had a question that we don't have a slide for, but they want to know what are some easy updates besides replacing the hardware?
Right. So depending on the budget, you could absolutely update your backsplash or countertops. That would be a really good way to add some either, color or movement, depending on where you go with a quartz or a stone. Lighting is a huge update as well. Just, changing out pendant lighting over an island or banquette seating can absolutely refresh the space too. You can also even changing out like a faucet fixture. That's a good, easy one too, that can match in with your cabinetry hardware if you're going to update that, and so give you a bit of a refresh.
Cool, thank you. We have a quick slide that Jess is going to tackle here. This person says that they have $3,000 to refresh. Do they do the cabinets? Do they do the countertop?
Right. So I think there's two answers to this question. If you're kind of a do-it-yourselfer at all, the real thing in that kitchen that you couldn't do yourself would be countertops. So you'd make the investment into the countertops. You could sand and paint the cabinets yourself. You could, hire cheaper labor to do that. If your priority really is to refresh the kitchen, I think tackling those cabinets, having someone come in, sand them, do a professional spraying to them will go a long way, and probably will make you not hate the counters as much if you're not enjoying them. A whole refresh. You could add a tile backsplash to really give some interest as well with painting hardware. Tile backsplash, you could probably fit that into your $3,000 budget. But I think if you do opt to do the counters, you're probably going to spend your whole 3,000 on the counters, and then
Right.
you would kind of need to tackle the other elements. You know, you could leave it or tackle those yourself.
Right. And could they refacing the cabinets, putting new doors on them? I guess that would be more expensive generally than sanding.
Yeah. I mean, these are kind of fine. You know, they're the shaker, I think, with a coat of paint across them. You know, you could do something like we've seen in other slides, like with, I think it was Kelly's slides where she did darker base cabinets and then going lighter and matching the walls. That could be a nice way to give some interest to the kitchen and still have it feel airy and light as well.
We have another question that somebody, and I didn't realize when I was putting this together, but you know, wood cabinets are, people are using them a lot more, but in this presentation, we didn't really see them. And so somebody's calling us out. Where are the wood cabinets?
Right.
And yes, you do wood
We
cabinets.
mix a lot of wood in. You know, we have a kitchen coming up, which is, it's more of a mid-century, and the whole thing is wood. We love to do it. I feel like a lot of clients often don't want to do it when we've proposed it, the full wood. Like they're scared that it's going to be this darker, heavier, or it's going to age faster than just a fresh white painted kitchen. We kind of love to just mix wood in with the painted. And
Right.
that gives you kind of the best of both worlds.
We have another minute. And Jess, you can talk about the next slide. But first, I just want to address somebody, and it's something I've addressed in the last one too, is people are always asking us what the costs are. We do not give the costs. We don't ask the homeowners to tell us how much their kitchens cost. They're already sharing their kitchens with us. So no, we don't have prices on these. But did we have another slide though? I think we had.
I think we had one more, yeah.
Last slide.
Yeah, this one.
It didn't really have a specific question, but they
Right.
think their kitchen is small.
Right. I can kind of give some quick pointers of like, you know, I don't know what their plans are for this kitchen, but if they were to start completely over, I would take that wall where the pots and pans are hanging, and I would kind of use that wall to anchor the refrigerator, pantry, if they want an extra oven. You know, you could pull that island out from the wall and use that whole space there to get some of the appliances, you know, the refrigerator off that back wall, and add a nice pantry there, add more storage. And then you can really take that back wall of the kitchen and make it more of a focal point. I'm assuming when you walk into this house, that's probably what you see, is that back wall there.
So maybe a colorful clay tile, for instance, or
totally. You could go for like a big pop of color of tile across there. You could add some open shelves because you've weighted that right wall with more storage. It sort of relieves the kitchen, and a small kitchen, to be able to take a sidewall and just really run the whole thing floor to ceiling with storage. And then, you know, remove cabinets away from the window, which will bring a little more light into the overall space. And, you know, get a range that's a bit more of a focal point, like you've seen black ranges here. We have a project now where we're doing this beautiful green range that will really be the focal point on the wall as well. So using
people are
color.
asking, people are asking about black. Are black appliances a fad? Or black, you know, they're seeing a lot of black and nervous about it.
Right.
Black Kelly could speak to it, but yeah.
Sure. Go ahead, Kelly.
I don't think black is a fad. I mean, especially for ranges, I think it's really beautiful and has a place in certain kitchens for sure. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that.
Yeah.
Nikki, what do you think? You don't use a ton of black?
Probably the last 6 kitchens we've done have been all black.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I can't wait to
yeah.
see them.
Yes, yeah. And again, black oftentimes with like an antique brass accent,
Mm,
for the legs or for the burners. Again, just to not make it so dark. Yeah.
right, it doesn't have to be like bachelor pad black, it can be classic New England with the brass and some accents.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for talking kitchen design with us today. And for our audience out there, the Globe will email you a link to this recording, and you can find the recordings of all the other past events that we did about all the kitchens, as well as the other Globe events at bostonglobe.com/events. And again, a big, huge thank you to KitchenAid. We've loved doing this, and everybody can find KitchenAid products at local retailers, which we love about them as well. So thank you guys.
Thank you. It was
Thanks,
fun.
Marnie.
Thanks,
Yeah, it
Marnie.
was fun.